Two and all right. Well, we are live. My name is Rich Groff. I get to host this. This is my new Friday at 1400 hours. It's called Effed Up and Down, and came up with that name. I'm hoping to draw some attention from the younger generation, um, not to get effed up and down confused with the F word, but if it draws attention, fantastic. It's based on a book that a friend of mine wrote, a financial advisor of all things, and I'm wearing my financial advisor hat today. It was a book prioritizing, bringing balance into our lives. It focused on 5 F's. The first being our faith, putting that first and foremost. The second being our family. A third being fitness or health. And then, which can be debatable, but then it's finances and then friends. It's in that order. And I think if we don't have our finances in order, we really can't be a good friend. We're under a lot of stress and duress. And um, I've been there. I've been under a lot of financial stress as an entrepreneur, a business owner, a certified financial planner. I've been doing financial planning now for 37 years, work with people all over the United States, and still taking on select clients that I want to work with. And I appreciate my guest, John Fisher with Fisher Precious Metals today out of Florida. And John and I go back, I think we worked together, John, for about 7 years, 6 years.
Yeah, that's probably a pretty good guess, Rich.
About right. Yeah. And
Mhm.
he was introduced to me after a really horrible experience, and he'll share a little bit about his background as an expert witness. But I was contacted by the FBI several years ago, and I had a few clients that had bought precious metals with a firm out of Iowa, and we wired $50,000. They got the precious metals. They came back to me 6 months later, wanted additional 50,000, wired the money, and no precious metals came to them.
Mhm.
Found out that this firm was all of a sudden not a good firm, and this is a very non-regulated, as John will share with you, industry. So um, I just want people to be aware of that, and that's why I'm introducing John Fisher with Fisher Precious Metals, because it's not regulated, and it can pose lots of problems, ill will, issues that you don't need, that we don't need. John actually just placed a second order for my mom. Did for me a few weeks ago, and I as I opened it up, I did a live Facebook because I have a lot of people inquiring about why should they have precious metals, not just on their investment statement, but tangible, in hand, silver and gold. I've just purchased some real estate, tangible assets. So I'm going to introduce John, and I'm going to share screen, and he's got some PowerPoint, short presentation we'd like to go over. John, hello. Thank you from Florida.
Yeah, you're welcome, Rich. I'm glad to be here.
We'll pull this up here. One moment. If I can find it. There we go. Can you see that?
Yep, I think that looks good, Rich.
All right. Beautiful family, by the way. John,
Yep.
you
This
married
is
up.
my
You
this is my
married up.
wife.
Yep.
My wife, two of my three daughters. This is a quick picture that I grabbed from Christmas. My one daughter was not available on that day, but I have three daughters and my wife, and I'm thankful to say that they're all believers in the Lord, which is probably the most important thing for my family. But one's a commercial airline pilot, one is a professional Pilates instructor, and one manages a large portfolio of rental property.
Fantastic. And since we're talking about the F's, and this show is effed up and down, faith. So
Yep.
they put their faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. And
Yep.
many that have heard my testimony, celebrating 45 years, I gave my life to Christ at age 13. I have had ups and downs, but I will
Yep.
never regret that decision.
Yep.
One of the
Right.
best decision I've made in my life, and I've been able to share my faith as a certified financial planner, and now helping people the last 3.5 years with health. It's just gone to a whole new level. So
Yeah.
um, go ahead,
They,
John.
well, this is an eye chart, in case you haven't been to the optometrist this year. But basically, These are my credentials. I've been in the business for 31 years. I'm approved really by all the world mints to deal in their product. I've chaired our industry council. I'm a professional numismatist and accepted by that organization. I write appraisals that are IRS and court admissible. I do a lot of work in estates and a lot of work in charitable contributions as well. So I've been at it for quite a while and have really sought to contribute, back to our industry because, like Rich said, this is a completely unregulated industry. Unlike Rich, who has designations and certain licenses in order to sell securities or annuities, etc. There's none in this business. You can't get a license. There's not one to have. There's no bonding. There's really no insurance. It really is the Wild West. So you've got to be very, very, very careful as to who you deal with. When Rich and I talked about doing this, one of the things that he asked me to focus on was the fact that there are these digital wallets that are coming, in many cases already here, and will continue to be here. I'm sure that many of you have heard about digital currency. They call it CBDC, central bank digital currencies. It's really a desire of most governments to be able to track all monetary transactions digitally. They do it under the guise of preventing illicit activity like drugs, human trafficking, prostitution, fraud, transferring money between our enemies and our other enemies and the like. But I just want to illustrate to people how we are essentially already in a digital currency. You can go to the next slide, Rich. Okay, so just on this note of digital currency, and the reason why we're talking about this today is like Rich alluded to, he just bought some tangible land. Land's tangible. You can step on it. You can put your hands in the ground, feel the dirt, feel the grass. It's really actually there. But when people think about their money, one has to realize that it's basically all digital already. If you look in your bank and you've got maybe a checking account, a savings account, a money market, maybe a CD, that's not money. That's just a digital entry at the bank. Now, you may think that you can go to the bank and say, I want my $20,000 for my savings. I want my $200,000 for my CD. They don't have it. They're going to have to order it from the Federal Reserve, and they're going to ask you a whole bunch of questions as to why you want the cash. They'll give you a bank instrument. They'll send a wire. They'll give you a cashier's check. They'll do something like that. But if you want cash, you're going to have to jump through a lot of hoops that include things like currency transaction reports, suspicious activity reports, because they want to know what you're doing with the cash. What really counts as physical cash is only about 2 or 3% of the money in our system. When you stop to think about it, like check your pocket, check your purse right now, how much cash, green cash, do you have? Or even at home, for in case of an emergency, how much do you have? And most people have none or very little. The prudent might have a month, 2, 3, 6 months cash at home if they're prudent in preparing for an emergency, but most people don't. It's all digital. You can go to the next slide, Rich. Mm-hmm. So the thing about digital is that it can be frozen at any time. Your bank accounts, your CDs, your savings, your money market, your stock accounts. I mean, you might have 50,000, 500,000 in a brokerage account, but it's just numbers on a screen. It's just digital. You can't sell those today and get cash for them tomorrow, or maybe even this month. Or if you do, you're going to incur a lot of taxes in doing so. And we've seen recently instances like in Canada where the truckers had their accounts frozen. Remember that? They were going to boycott. Remember that, Rich? They were going to boycott I forget what it was that they were
Un,
boycotting against.
unreal. Yeah,
Yeah, but they froze their
unreal.
accounts.
Yeah,
They
and
couldn't buy heat.
I shared on Facebook the digital wallet interview recently on Instagram that I saw, and I forwarded it over to you, John, and that sort of
Yeah,
inspired our discussion today. By the way,
yeah.
it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when in the U.S.
It
I
is
don't.
it is a matter of when.
Yeah.
You know, Trump has famously promised no central bank digital currency. Well, that may or may not be the case, but his term is up in a couple of years. You know, I just quickly did an AI search, and the UK, India, China, huge economies, you know, huge major economies in this world already are actively using digital wallets
Hmm.
to monitor the activities of people.
How many,
And
John? How many
what's
countries?
that?
How many countries are using digital wallet?
You know, I didn't search how many. I just
Yeah.
quickly pulled up these three, and each of these countries. I mean, China's over 1 billion people. India's over a
Sure.
billion people. We've got 8 billion people. That's two eighths. That's one quarter of the world right there.
Hmm.
Let alone England and Sweden and Finland are going down this road. They all will. Nobody None of these governments want to deal in cash because they can't control it, they can't see it, they don't know where it comes from, you know, and they don't know where it goes. And I don't know, Rich, if you've talked when you did about digital wallets before about social credit scores associated with digital wallets.
No.
But
Yeah.
in China, you get a social credit score, and
Hmm.
it's based on how you use the monies in your digital wallets. Suppose that you're spending too much money on housing or on travel or on food or on luxury items or on cigarettes or on gambling. All these things could be monitored, and it can go into a social credit score that measures how well you're doing against the parameters that the government sets for what a good citizen should be.
Yeah. Crazy. During COVID, several times I was at a store and they would not give me change. Did you have that
Yeah,
happen? Yeah. Uh,
yeah.
yep. So,
So don't think it's not coming here. Everything we have, even here in the United States, is primarily all digital. It's checks. Those are put into a scanner someplace and digitized. It is ACHs. It's wire transfers. It's debits and credits at the ATM. It's the electronic deposit of your W 2. It's the tax payments to the IRS. It's Zelle, Venmo, Cash App, and on and on and on. And the young people carry no cash, like
mm,
zero cash, because they have everything they need, you know, on their cell phone. Everything they need to transact anywhere from gasoline to their friends to a meal to an airline ticket.
mm,
Uh, Now, this deviates a little bit from the digital wallet conversation, but just to wrap that up,
mm,
we are already about 97% digital. All of our transactions take place over some sort of electronic device. They're all posted digitally on our computers, on our phones. If you don't have cash, everything else is digital or tangible property, gold, silver, real estate being primarily those. This
mhm,
is this is not going to surprise anybody, but this is from the Federal Reserve of St. Louis, a chart that shows the value of the dollar since the formulation of the Federal Reserve in 1913.
mm.
All the way
Wow.
up to the left, that's 1913 when a dollar was worth 100 cents. And today it's worth about three
Wow.
cents in terms of purchasing power. So people hang on every word from it was Powell, it was Yellen, or no, Yellen was a Treasury Secretary. It's all these Federal Reserve governors and now Warsh, and they hang on every word and they parse every statement, thinking that that's somehow going to save us, them, the economy, the stock market, the world, everything else. The Fed is in the business to slowly inflate our currency and deflate the value of the dollar. That's what the slide before showed. This now is also from the Federal Reserve in St. Louis, and this shows the increase in the money supply. Starting back in 1960, you see a huge spike starting in the early 2000s. 2008, that's that sort of wider gray bar.
Mm.
That's sort of the wider gray bar there between 2005 and 2010. That's when we had the great financial crisis, when inflation, the money supply really started to increase. And then we see a significant increase. Let me just turn it. Sorry. Then we see a significant increase starting in 2020 with COVID. So whenever there's a problem, they just pour money at it. That's always the solution. Just pour money at the problem. And that's good. That's not going to stop. Despite what you might hear from the Fed, from Warsh and others, they have to expand the money supply. It's the only way that we can pay our national debt. This is our debt now running from, I think it goes back to 2006 to 2026. And is this ever going to reverse? I mean, can it ever reverse? Is it even possible to reverse?
You've got an amazing illustration on how big $1 trillion is, and we're at over 35.
Yeah.
Coming up.
Our debt now, our interest payments, I think, are up to pretty close to 1.3 trillion a year. It's larger than the defense budget. The only way to pay it is to print money. This is sort of very outdated, but it's the consumer price index. The red line is the creation of the Fed in the 1913. Things were pretty stable for 200 years and before that. So don't bet on the Fed for anything. Don't hang your hopes on the Fed. Don't even listen. I mean, you can listen to their announcements if you want to, but they're here to placate the market and the investors. Even Greenspan said that gold is the ultimate form of payment because you can't print it. Fiat is a Latin term, means by decree. You just because you say so, you just speak it into existence. And that's where we operate, is on a fiat money standard. It's not backed by anything. Like, Rich, where's the audit for Fort Knox? Weren't we promised an audit for Fort Knox?
Yeah, exactly.
Where is it? We can't get enough accountants together or something. Here's the illustration of this will be kind of this is $1 trillion. Okay, this is $1 trillion. So this little pile here next to this guy is $1 million. It's 100 packets of those, sleeves of $100 bills, which is $10,000. Mm-hmm. Okay, next slide. Okay. Now this is go back one.
Yep.
If you can.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is 100 million. If $1 million looks small, 100 million it's a pallet, kind of like what we Obama sent to Iran, not to get political, but this is $1 billion. Okay. Now, this is $1 billion. I mean, this is big money. This is a billionaire. This is how many $100 bills a billionaire has. Okay, now this is $1 trillion. See the little guy there down on the left, the little red speck?
Look at that. Holy smokes.
Down on the left. And these pallets are double stacked as opposed to the previous slide, which was a single stack. So this is $1 trillion.
Yeah.
This is $1 trillion of $100 bills. That's $1 billion. This is $1 trillion. So imagine today we've got 40 of these that we owe somebody. We owe people that hold U.S. treasuries, bonds and bills, foreign governments, corporations that hold treasuries on their balance sheets. Um, this slide says 39 trillion. I think we're closer to 40, but that's $115,000 for every United States citizen, child, teenager, adult, senior, or almost $500,000 per family that the government has borrowed. And what they've done is they've stolen from the future to enjoy whatever they want to spend it on today.
Mm,
I mean,
sure.
all this money has been brought forward. Uh, I think that's the end, Rich.
Yeah. Mhm.
All this money has been brought forward to spend on stuff today that we can't afford. It's like the government runs on a massive credit card that it can't pay and is even now struggling to make the minimum payments. And in order to make the minimum payments, they got to take a cash advance on another credit card. That's how bad
Mm.
it is.
So, John, I've been recommending for my clients now for, gosh, about 10 years to have a portion of their net worth in gold, in silver. The last few years, because of the price of gold, leaning a little bit more towards silver. Um, and I've been buying it up myself personally. As I shared, my
Right.
mom just recently bought additional amount. Um, why do people need tangible gold and silver? And then why Fisher Precious Metals?
Okay. Well, on the first, why tangible?
Yeah.
It's just prudent. Even mainstream financial advisors from the big wirehouses would probably recommend a 5 to 10% allocation. Now, they're most probably going to recommend an ETF or a mutual fund or something to that extent because they can put it on their brokerage statement and get paid for assets under management. But just like you might have some food at home, some water or water purification at home, some medical supplies at home, some cash in the event that the ATMs don't work. Remember COVID, some of the ATMs didn't work and some of the banks were closed. This is a tangible asset, just like land. You can put your hands on it. It's not a digital entry somewhere. It's physical. You have it in your possession. It's really insurance. Should you ever need it, you have it and you have it in physical form. And it's
I like
private.
I like that because that's what I tell my clients. It's insurance, and
Mm-hmm.
um, I don't know what your thoughts are as far as where the dollar, will we have a dollar in the years to come? Will we have a digital currency? What's
Mm-hmm.
going to take place? But if either one of those occur, this is our insurance. This is
Yeah,
silver and gold will continue to grow um,
right.
at,
You know,
at
it,
rapid
it's
rate.
it's insurance, and in financial in terms, insurance terms, fundamentally, you can more or less always get a return of premium for whatever you pay for it. You
Mhm.
pay $75 for silver, it might go to 50, it might go to 100, it might go to 300. But if you ever have to sell it, it's not like you spent money on it. You just transferred some of your fiat currency. And gold, the same thing. It's 4,500, it might go to 3,000, it might go to 10,000. But should you ever need to use it, it's money that you've just set aside in a different form. So it's not really an expense, it's a reallocation.
Sure. I, I, I like
Um,
I like the unique buyback feature that you offer
yeah,
your customers. You offer myself and any of my clients. Could you
yeah.
share a little bit about that?
Sure. So we buy back anything we sell, even if by chance you bought things elsewhere. We're happy to make you an offer to buy them back. I can't remember a time when I ever did not buy something because there's always a market for it, but especially for my clients. And we reduce our buyback commission in half. You asked why Fisher Precious Metals. Probably the biggest. There's a couple of things. Number one, I've never made an outbound sales call in 31 years. Never have made an outbound sales call. It's all been referral. It's all been word of mouth. Uh, so that's one thing. Number two, if you ever interact with me, Rich has maybe experienced this. I'm not going to try to sell anybody anything. I'm going to answer questions. I'm going to ask some leading questions to get them to think through what it is they may or may not want to do. And at the end of the day, it's entirely their decision. We don't sell collectibles, esoteric products. We sell the bread and butter that's highly liquid in the marketplace, should you ever need it. And like you mentioned before, Rich, I've served as an expert witness in a number of cases where people have called, they've done pay-per-click on the internet,
Mm.
some advertisement, some sponsor, they've seen something on television by some famous actor, or they've heard it, worse yet, on Christian radio to
Yeah.
call and get your free silver.
Hmm.
Well, there's no free lunch.
No.
So my only encouragement there, if not my firm, just do your homework. Don't click on anything and don't call anything off of an advertisement because they're going to hound you to death and they're probably going to sell you a product that's inappropriate.
Yeah. I mean, even me, been doing financial planning for 37 years. And, I was in Scottsdale, Arizona. I share with you that, I went to a place, I looked up a place, I had some extra cash, bought
Yep.
some silver. Uh, and, and you even corrected me. You said, that's not the proper way to buy the silver.
Mhm.
And I did a much larger purchase with you the following week.
Yeah.
Um, so, and not only that, but I saved a considerable amount on the front
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
And I'll save a considerable amount on the back end for either myself or my heirs if they want
Yeah.
to cash that out. So,
Yeah.
um,
It's
it,
actually it's a great estate asset too because you can pass it privately outside of probate.
mhm, nice.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a 5 or 10% allocation.
Sure.
Some people choose to do more, some people choose to do less. But again, it's not an expense. It's just taking existing monies and putting it into a different form.
Sure. Yeah, and we talked about this. So, those that are listening, make sure if you want to call John direct or contact me, and we'll work together. Same situation. There's no additional cost or anything like that. But John and I agree, there's no minimum. So, if you're watching, and I used to, I wouldn't come to John unless there was, I think, $5,000 or $10,000 minimum. We agreed no minimum. So,
Yeah. Right.
if you want to work with John with 1,000, if that's how you get your feet wet, so be it. But we would,
Yeah.
like to see you get to the point where you're allocating a 5 or 10% of your investable or net worth. So if
Yeah.
you're there and you have $1 million net worth, you should work towards somewhere around a 50 to $100,000 allocation. But if that gets your feet wet with 1,000, 5,000, 10,000,
Right.
so be it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
we're here to work with you so you don't get taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Um, like I shared my FBI story with that firm out in Iowa with some clients several years ago, and it was a bad taste in my mouth. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
I before I started working with John, I it's pretty scrutinizing to
I
say the least.
know. It
Yeah.
really sours. It really sours people. There's a lot of elder abuse. There's like a lot of what happened to your client. Now you read about these firms years later. So I'm happy to visit with anyone. No obligation, no sales pitch. But please let me know that you were able to find. If you don't call Rich, certainly call Rich. But if you choose to call me directly, just please let me know that you came because
You heard this presentation, sure.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, just wanted, and I don't think there's anything else we need to talk about on that subject, but if there is, John, go ahead. I want to do a little introduction to next week, and I'd like you to share a little bit about your mom and father-in-law story.
Oh
But
yeah.
next week, I'm focusing on faith. I'm focusing on health or fitness. Those are the
Right.
efforts we're focused on. And I ran across a friend that we go all the way back to high school, and
Yeah.
a friend in Michigan that we competed against for quarterback in football. So I've
Right.
not talked to Mark. In fact, this will be the first time I've talked to him since high school, since
Right.
sophomore year in high school. We've communicated by text just recently after he had his leg below the knee amputated. And when I heard his story, I'm like, man, I need to get him on this. And he was willing to share what he's gone through after he got 2 jabs. And I'm going to talk about Moderna being the company that put that poison in him.
Right. Right.
And many of you watching have also gone ahead and done that. There's no judgment, but what I want to convey to you is that all of us, whether we vaccinated, jabbed, because it's not a vaccination as we know now, or not, we are being confronted with health issues with the spike protein. I'm going to have an expert, a national
Mhm.
speaker on this call that I got to Mark that has invented a solution that will remove those spike proteins from his blood and stop all
Yep.
the blood clotting, or at least hopefully reduce it. I hope it's not too late, but I wish I would have ran into him and known this was going on in 21 and 22. I actually learned of her about 18 months ago, and
Mhm.
she is helping people on a national scale. And I'm going to have her on. I've already introduced, and Mark is going through her detox. Um, but it removes the spike proteins that's causing all these issues. He had several heart attacks, blood clots. I think he even had a stroke, and then he had an amputation. So
Yeah.
that's going to be next Friday, 1400 hours, 4 o'clock Eastern time. I'm going to interview him out of Michigan, and he's going to share a little bit how his faith has been renewed. And that's the most
Yep.
important thing because we're all going to die one day
Yep.
or another. It's guaranteed, right? Uh,
Yep.
so
Absolutely.
Mark's going to be a great story of faith and what he's gone up against, and it's going to provide some solutions for all of us, including myself. I was not COVID vaccinated. I've been fighting myocarditis several years ago when no one knew that it was spread. Um, I was dating somebody that was vaccinated, and I was in denial for about 2.5 years. And I had
Mhm.
inflammation of the heart as a result of those spike proteins. Um, and we all need to detox. And uh, Jen Dillon, my guest, she's going to talk about why we all need to be doing it. And
Yep.
she had uh, one parent that was not vaccinated, one that was, and they both were having health issues as a result. So
Mhm.
I think I would be dead if I um, wasn't doing the detox. But before I did the detox, I was using stem cell activation patches, which many of you know has really transformed my health. I would be severe, um, if not dead. So,
Mhm.
with no further ado, we're going to say goodbye to John in Florida. Thank you, John, for participating. And
Yep. Thank you.
I know we've already had several people reach out prior to this call, and I directed them over to you. But there's
Yep.
more out there, and I wanted to do this to give them a little bit more information on what the why. And thank you. Appreciate you.
Yep. Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you, Rich. I'm looking forward to your presentation next week on the detox. It's not too late.
Oh, talk about your mother and father-in-law. I'm sorry, I kept.
Well, yeah. So, first of all, the jab was very difficult, like within families. It divided some families.
Yes.
Like no judgment, because if you were a nurse or a doctor and you needed to put food on the table, you got it whether you liked it or not. If you were a pilot, if you were in the military, and on and on and on, they backed you into a corner and you didn't have a choice.
Yeah,
Or
and I do know some practitioners that said shove it and they quit.
yeah,
They were that convicted knowing it would
right,
harm them. But a lot
right,
of people were on the fence. And
yeah,
those that
right.
were on the fence weren't for sure they trusted what was
Mm-hmm,
being told, and we were all
mm-hmm,
lied to. So yeah, we're all in
yep,
the same boat. So yeah, go ahead.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. So my family did not get vaccinated, but my mother and father-in-law did. He was playing doubles tennis, pretty good player 3 years ago. And now he's full on Parkinson's, hunched over a walker, fully demented in a lockdown facility. Uh, and the same with my mother in law. And the saddest part, one of the saddest part, Rich, is um, it's like impossible to share the gospel with somebody that's so far gone. Not that Christ can't open their eyes at the last minute, but a lot of hope faded. And same with my mother-in-law. And despite trying to counsel them as best as we possibly could, they listened to Fauci and CNBC and the news and
Mhm.
everybody else. And
Yeah, the
um,
fear, the manipulation,
yep,
all of that.
right.
Um,
But the good news is like what you're saying, it's not too late. So your detox episode will be very important to listen to.
yeah, and I'm trying to bring value. That's why I believe this is this is a good thing. And as I've got some amazing things lined up in the weeks and months to come,
Yep.
that will continue to add value, enlighten people, and make life
Yep.
better. So,
Yep. Exactly.
um, yeah, so come check it out. My Story with Mark will encourage you. And Jen Dillon and what she has out in the marketplace, a national speaker will be sharing. And I told her to dumb it down because she talks way over here. Just dumb it down and keep it about 10 minutes.
Yep.
But we'll be sharing her website and where you can get help and
Yep.
what you need to do on a regular
Yep.
basis. So
Yep.
I'm going to stop the Facebook Live and recording and be right back here.